Hey girlies, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl Nikki and I'm so happy that you guys are here again. You know, I feel a jolt of joy every time I think, oh, they're gonna watch me again, they're gonna support my channel. I really love that. I want us to build a community based on our mutual interest, our mutual struggles as women, our mutual experiences. I don't want to make it sound like it's a negative thing. So scratch these struggles, our experiences. Being a woman is a beautiful thing, it's a blessing. It does have its complications, and one of them is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And that's what I want to talk about today with you guys. But that one is like a Pandora's box, if you will. It's like a gateway sickness. It has so much different implications. It can cause so many different complications. And today I was making a post and I really struggled with the term PCOS sufferers, so I'm going to refer to it instead as the PCOS sisterhood. Okay, we are members of a sisterhood, we are sisters together, we know each other's battle, each of us have something a little bit different to deal with, but it's all the same uphill climb, right? So keep watching if you want to hear more of my experience and what I've been through for the past about 15 years having PCOS, being a member of the sisterhood. Okay, so the first thing I want to talk about is something called hirsutism, which is the overgrowth of androgynous hair in women. So androgynous hair simply refers to the male type of hair, and because we have a higher level of testosterone with PCOS, we tend to have that. And I've had that since before I started to have weight gain problems, before I started to have any other issue. I had the masculine type of hair growth. Now, this is not only on the face, it could be on any part of the body. Some people have it on their chest, their stomach, their backs, in places that men would typically grow hair exclusively, and the type of hair too would also be more coarse, more curly, more it's very, you know, ambitious hair. It grows really quickly, it's really resilient. I wish the hair on our head was like that. In addition to hirsutism, because of the spike of testosterone, we have also male pattern baldness or hair loss, as well as a result of the spike in testosterone. So we have those two things that are similar to men: the overgrowth of the masculine hair and then the loss of hair in a similar pattern to what a man would have. I don't have the hair loss per se, but I do have the overgrowth of hair. I've always been a hairy person. It's in my DNA. I think it's called being swarthy. When you have, like the extra hair on your hands, and when you're more hairy, you have like the fine hair on your face. I think they call it Is it vellus hair? Yes, I believe it's called vellus hair. I'm gonna check to see, but I believe that's the name of it, and that typically is more fine. It's called peach fuzz. It's very soft. It's not, it's not a problem. However, when the hair becomes thicker, darker, more coarse, it starts to be a problem, especially when you get to the age where um, you're conscious of the way that you look. So how do we deal with that? There are several methods of hair removal, but not all of them are conducive to someone who has PCOS, especially if you have textured hair. If you have African hair, then our hair is more curly. Some of the types of hair removal may cause the curly hair to go back into the skin, thereby causing irritation, bumps, ingrown hairs, embarrassment, pain, in addition to the embarrassment that we already feel with the additional hair. So we don't want to take the incorrect route. One of the worst ways I would say is waxing your facial hair. For some reason, it seems that waxing your facial hair, I don't know if it's because the skin is thinner, I don't know if because the hair is coarser, it causes the hair to grow back, what I would say, thicker. This is not an expert opinion, this is just in my experience and based on what I've heard other people say with similar experiences, that waxing the facial hair causes it to become thicker. It leaves you with ingrowns, it leaves you with scars, bumps. Some of the bumps could become inflamed. It's very painful. So depending on the type of hair that you have, if you have straight hair, fine hair on your face, I don't think that waxing would have such a negative effect. But if you have more coarse, textured afro type of hair, then waxing as a woman, it's not going to give you the desired result. You're going to be left with a very dark, rough patch of skin. All right. So another way that people tend to it's affordable, tend to use to remove hair is shaving, good old shaving. However, we know that once the hair becomes very present, it's going to be constant shaving, followed by that spikiness and roughness that you feel when you start back growing hair, maybe the very next day, maybe a few hours later. Some people, I've read experiences where some people experience the hair growth that same day. It's very accelerated. In addition to that, it has the same effects as waxing, where you leave the bumps, the rough skin, etc. So if you have a certain type of hair, again, I'm discouraging you from going those two routes. The other routes I would recommend, um, depending on what type of skin you have. So if you have very sensitive skin, then this wouldn't be a good option for you. If you have more robust skin, your skin could take a bit more of a harsh chemical on it, then maybe you can use the hair removal creams. There are some specifically for use on our face, so they are not as harsh and as stinging as some other ones, right? And the second option I would recommend is a more expensive option. It's laser hair removal. There's a specific type of laser that is recommended for people of color. It has worked for me. I have used it several times over the years. It's very expensive, especially in my country. I think in most countries, laser hair removal is expensive. However, it's definitely worth the money, because when you, even if you just get 6 months of no hair growth, it feels amazing to just see your face normal. And eventually, over time, if you do the treatments the way that you're supposed to do them and attack the hairs as, or the hair follicles as rapidly and as aggressively as you're supposed to, ideally the hair will reach to a point where there's almost no regrowth. I say almost because you still have the androgenic genes in your DNA, and even if the old hair follicles are dead, there are new ones coming up, but it won't be as dramatic, it won't be as big tick. You know what I mean? It won't be as much as if you don't treat it like that. The other option is electrolysis. Electrolysis is a good option if a person doesn't have a full face of beard. If you have a full, like a proper lineup, then electrolysis is going to be an absolute pain, because this is a procedure where they take a needle and inject it into every single hair follicle, zapping it with electricity, and then removing the hair. It's very painstaking, very time consuming. It's cheaper than laser. It can be effective, but there's also potential for damaging the skin. I had an experience where around the lips here, the lady injected me more than once in the same hairs, and it was black for a while, it was swollen, it was terrible, um, because she thought that would have been a more effective approach to the type of hair that I had. I don't think it was effective. It left me with scars for a while. It took me a while to get rid of that hyperpigmentation and scarring from that procedure. So be careful with electrolysis if you have a lot of hair. If you have a lot of hair, then the better option, or the best option, is the laser hair removal. The one that I typically use that I find is effective, it's I think it's an IPL laser. Um, it stings, but the procedure is really quick. The results are guaranteed. When they tell you, okay, within the next week your hair will come to the surface and fall off, and then you'll have no hair growth for the next 4 to 6 weeks, and then the hair will start to grow back but finer. That's exactly what happens. Even now, I still have hair growth, but I'm able to, get it off with dermaplaning, and it's not as heavy as it used to be. It has not left my space with any scarring or any weird texture or anything like that. So because of the laser, and also laser has the added effect of getting rid of any dark marks, scars, hyperpigmentation, like your skin is going to become perfect after a laser appointment. you're gonna love it. Anything that was wrong with you, but do your research. There are a lot of people who talk about the fact that lifestyle changes, becoming more active, eating more whole foods, and just being more balanced was most effective for them in terms of managing their diabetes. And I was just pre-diabetic, i.e., insulin resistance. So it was showing signs of my body's inability to produce the sufficient insulin to process the sugar when I eat. I wanted to tell you what some of these signs of insulin resistance are. So around my eyes, I have some growing moles. I have this, it's called nigricans africanitis, something like that. I'll find the word and I'll put it on the screen. My entire back, my belly, my torso is full of moles, like growing moles. Those are indicators of insulin resistance. So look out for those. If you're seeing these things on yourself, then, and I think there are more physical signs. These are just the ones that I personally have and experience. So if you see these things, you can go do a blood test and see what's happening with you. It's not a death sentence. I feel like people say that they are afraid to go and check on certain things, and knowledge is power. When you find out what's happening, you can do something about it. If you don't know, then diabetes or being diabetic is something that actually poisons all of your organs. You don't want to have your heart, your liver, your kidneys, all of that swimming in a toxic environment. So you need to know what's happening with you sooner rather than later. Sooner rather than later. Let's talk about weight gain, weight management. My weight is always something that I've struggled with. When I look back now at what I was looking like at 20 and I thought I was fat, it's like, damn, I didn't even appreciate this God-given blessed body. Like, I think the 20s is such a time of insecurity. You're taking on everyone's opinion. If someone says you feel like, oh my gosh, what did I do, it's such a terrible time. Like, I would not go back there for anything. I love being in my 30s. I feel like I feel so much more secure. I know who I am. I know my words. I know, so much about myself that I appreciate. I know my shortcomings and I have a healthy view of it, but I don't allow people's view of me to impact me, especially my body image, as much as I did when I was younger. I am like 5'9", which is pretty tall for a woman, and I have always been, bigger. So people have always had a lot to say, and that can really tear you down. So for all my girls who have had to experience that, first of all, my heart goes out to you. I feel your pain, and let's just throw that in the bin where it belongs, because no one should be making comments about anyone else's body except for the purpose of enriching them and encouraging them to be the healthiest version of themselves. Never to shame, never to embarrass. We don't get to choose what height, what build of body that we get. Now we live in a society that's so BBL centered. It's like so toxic, because it's always one trend after another, one craze after another, and it's like, when will people stop and just accept a healthy, happy body? So my weight has always fluctuated, and there are some times when I will be able to get it down, but when I think about what do I have to do to get this weight down, to keep it down, is it sustainable for me? So I'm always thinking about, can I keep up with this habit? Is this something that I'm going to crash out on? And I don't ever want to do that. So like I said before, mindfulness when eating, mindfulness about my diet. There are days when I will binge and I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Start again tomorrow. One of the keys for me is to never keep snacks in the household, because that could really test my self-control, and your girl really don't have much. Okay. Yeah. So that can really test my self-control, and I don't really have much of that. So I don't put myself in that environment. It doesn't mean that I won't go out and have a cake or ice cream or something with my friends. It just means I don't put that in here for like on a daily basis for this cake to be looking at me and saying, eat me. I'm not doing it, right? So that's one. The next thing is, I wish I'd have a fruit in the fridge. Grapes, I love grapes. Banana, something like dates. if you have to have something sweet, yes, we still use sugar occasionally, so not every time I make tea I have to put sugar in it, but I will have agave. It's safe enough. It's a variation in the type of sugar that my body is processing. I've done a lot of research on the type of exercise that someone with PCOS should do, and there's a lot of hype around things like intermittent, or no, not intermittent fasting. There's a lot of hype around things like HIIT, high intensity interval workouts. That's so effective. It's really good. Blah, blah, blah. I will probably die for 1. 2, I'll feel sick, like I want to throw up. 3, I'm not going to come back or do it a second time, and it it spikes cortisol in our body. So that's not good for someone who has a hormonal imbalance to be experiencing a spike in another hormone, which in turn stores fat. Cortisol stores fat in your body. So you'll hear about cortisol belly, and you'll hear about stress eating and all the things that cortisol makes us do. So that's not something you want to do. There are certain types of exercises that are safe and encouraged for people who have PCOS, and they are walking, so basically low intensity cardio. It's also Pilates, yoga, strength training. So yes, you're lifting weights, you're lifting heavy weights if you can, but it's not the yeah, you're gonna keep that to a minimum. Even if when you're walking you want to take a little jog, it's different from sprinting, it's different from doing burpees, from doing like really intense crazy workouts. And I think for the most part, just the thought of that kind of workout stresses you out so much, and it's so unappealing. A walk is very enjoyable, and a walk is something that you can incorporate into your daily life. So instead of taking the elevator, you take the stairs. Instead of taking the short way, you take the long way. Can you walk to the grocery? Can you walk to a shop? Can you walk about in the mall? It's more easily incorporated into your daily lifestyle. So I would say that walking is like top notch. People have seen great changes just adding a few extra steps into their day, or having the habit of taking a 15-minute walk after they eat. It's really effective for your heart health and for your overall weight loss, adding activity like that. So that's my recommendation. Now, okay, so the next point I want to talk about is mental health, emotional regulation. Some of the things that really help me. So PCOS helps us, or makes us feel very anxious at times, makes us suffer with anxiety. So there are times when I feel like this tightness in my chest, my stomach is in knots for no reason, my brain is racing about a million things. And why? What is the reason? It's the chemical and hormonal imbalance that we're experiencing due to this diagnosis. So what do we do about it? First of all, journaling is a big help. I don't know that firsthand because I don't journal. I like to talk. So some people can be your human journals. Get a friend, get a spouse, get someone that you can confide in, that you can vent to, that you can speak to your problems about. Pray about your problems as well. That works 1,000%. In addition to that, you can do some deep breathing exercises. Now, this is a part of the yoga lifestyle. I don't subscribe to that particularly, but I know that the deep breathing portion of it really does a lot. So it's scientifically proven that doing the deep breath, taking the deep breaths and taking time holding it in, releasing it slowly, it definitely helps us. So you can do some of that. You can also spend time doing things that you enjoy. Painting, singing. I love singing. I paint. I am so totally engrossed and wrapped up in the painting process. I have no time in my brain for anxiety. I'm just working on this eyeball, or this flower, or this person's hand to just get it just right. It's really a hobby that really wraps up your entire mind and takes you away. I love it. So that's another recommendation. Being out in nature, 10 out of 10 would recommend. Fresh air, sunlight, green grass, the best combination ever. Don't mention like putting some sand on your foot. Better yet, salt water. We need these things. we don't just have nature around us for like, oh, it's pretty, it's nice, it's a good day outside. It does something for us chemically. I don't know a lot of the scientific terms and what it does in terms of how it reacts with our body's chemicals. But if you want to see me talk about that, then leave a comment in the box below, and I'll let you know what I found. But in any case, manage your mental health if you realize that a situation is overwhelming for you or it's not going right. One of the things that I spoke about in a TikTok recently was that I like to make a to-do list. My brain is typically swarming with thoughts and ideas in the morning. I'm like, what to do, because I work from home, so I'm just in my own madness, just cycling and bubbling. And what really helps me to batten down is writing down exactly what I have to do and then rewarding myself with a line through that. And in that to-do list, you can add things that you enjoy as well. It can be any one of your hobbies, even allotting some time to watch your favorite series or to just relax. Self-care is important and it should be prioritized by any means. Not necessarily the overconsumption that's being promoted today, but the real self-care. Whether that means making a exfoliating scrub and taking a luxuriating shower with it, or giving yourself a pedicure, or maybe washing your hair. All of these things make us feel really, really good when we take time to take care of ourselves. So that's important. Prioritize that. Okay, I think the last point I want to talk about today is gut health. PCOS has a direct effect on gut health, and your gut health has a direct effect on your PCOS. Did you know that? No, you didn't. All right, maybe you did, I don't know. But I have found that I have been lactose intolerant, gluten intolerant, and I have a lot of gut health issues. I've always had some problems with my digestion. I've had acid reflux problems in the past when I was much younger. I don't suffer with that so much now, but as of now, I have two gallbladder stones. They're very cute. They're, like eyes. But I'm not keeping them. I'm trying to get rid of them, okay? Um, if that becomes more of a problem, then that could actually affect me in a more permanent way by inhibiting my bile production. I may not be able to process fats, thereby I may gain a lot of weight. So I need to try to get rid of those. I'm using something that I believe may help. So with PCOS, it helps you if you minimize the intake of milk or milk products like cheese. Yogurt is something different because it's been fermented. Most times it's safer, but people would still recommend that you use non-dairy yogurt. I have not seen any locally yet. If you have, let me know, please. In addition to that, gluten has been something that I struggle with as well. My stomach has become very sensitive to gluten. I can eat it, but I can't eat a lot of it. I can't eat bread in the morning, pasta for lunch, and then another sandwich in the evening. I can't do those three things. I have to do one every few days. And I still may have a few stomach problems as a result, but I've learned to try to manage it and not to make it like a glaring issue and a part of like a monkey on my shoulder. I don't want anything in my life to be, that bothersome and that time consuming and energy consuming. It must all be easy, breezy, beautiful. Life is already hard on its own. So those are some of the things that affect me, and I use a probiotic to balance those things. There are some other supplements that we can take to help manage our hormonal levels, to increase the production of the progesterone and to reduce the testosterone in our blood. I'll leave some recommendations, some Amazon links in my description below. Also, spearmint is really good for hirsutism. I was supposed to mention that earlier. It helps if you drink 2 cups of spearmint tea daily. It also helps if you use the spearmint oil topically on your skin wherever you have the growth. It's going to help you manage and mitigate the growth of the androgynous androgynous hair. It's going to help you to mitigate the growth of androgynous hair on your face, on your body, wherever. But you have to continuously use it there. So that is something that you can look into. So these are my tips about PCOS. This has been my experience with PCOS. I am now 32. I have been living with PCOS for the past, yeah, about 12 years. So, I mean, I'm not a professional. I don't do everything correctly. I don't think about it on a daily basis. Oh, I need to do this for my PCOS. Some people have really bad symptoms, and for that reason, they are a bit more keen and proactive with their management of their symptoms. But this is what I've been doing so far, and I will continue to try to refine certain things. But I just want things in my life to be sustainable. I don't want anything that's going to change my life too drastically, but I still want to maintain a certain level of health. So this has been my experience. If you have any useful tips for me, I'm grateful for them. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. And once again, I'm happy to have you guys on my channel. Love you guys very much. Please come back next time. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, turn on your post notifications so that you know every time I post a video. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.